They come from the vastness of space. Their mission, to turn our world into a dance floor.
Begin expedition. Scanning communications. Discovering sound patterns. Drum patterns recognized.
And the bassline.
Melody frequency response detected.
All these elements come together in a state of trance. Here's your host, Armin van Buuren.
Doesn't feel behind me, the massive team-up of the American Andrew Chen, aka Shogun, and the Canadian singer Tania Zygar. Both of them are working on their first solo albums. I can't wait to hear those. Welcome to a new A State of Trance podcast. I'm Armin van Buuren, and this week I have new music for you by Orjan Nilsen, Dave Gravell on the label of W&W, Ali and Fila, and a classic requested by Omar from Egypt. But first, one of my personal favorites from my album Intense. Here's Pulsar. Still not sure what Orjan Nilsen meant with the title of this track, but it really doesn't matter because it's a big tune. Xiing. And thank you for your messages. Keep them coming. Armin at astateoftrance.com. Karim Kamel from Montreal, Canada shouts out to all his friends in Egypt, and a shout out to Mimi Ramirez in Torreon, Mexico, from his friend Juan David in Bogota. Frodo Root shouts out to his wife Michelle. Congratulations to you both on the birth of your first daughter, Madison Isabella Jessica. And I know what it feels like, Frodo. Alright, back to the music. This is a dance floor bomb, out now on the label of W&W Mainstage Music. Here is David Gravell, Bulldozer. a future favorite in last week's episode of A State of Trance, and of course taken from their new album Quiet Storm. You just heard Ali and Fila. We're nearing the end of this week's podcast, leaving you with the classic. This week it got requested by Omar Barbary from Egypt for his best friend Hiba, an own track under my name Gaia. J'ai envie de toi.
This is A State of Trance Radio Classic.
That's it for this week. Thank you for tuning in. For more info, head over to astateoftrance.com.
Mission complete. Stopping frequency scan.
Thanks for tuning in this week. To listen again, please visit armindradio.com or check the podcast. And please don't forget to vote for your favorite track of the past 2 hours on astateoftrance.com. A State of Trance returns next week.
End of transmission.